usually every group class training, almost every day the same. It's the same intensity. It's the same order of workouts. And not a single professional athlete in the world trains like that.
Welcome back to the Fitt Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Veneri. Today I'm joined by Christian Toetzke, founder and CEO of HYROX. In this episode, we discuss the rise of fitness racing. Christian breaks down the company's time, standardized event format. Plus, he talks about partnering with gyms to expand the brand's reach. Let's get into it. The Fitt Insider Podcast is brought to you by Jack Taylor, our exclusive PR partner. More than just PR, they're creative storytellers and brand builders who actually understand the health and wellness industry. Learn more and get in touch at jacktaylorpr.com. Hi, Christian. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to chatting and potentially learning a little bit more about what you're up to, all the expansion plans, big things happening. I think every time I kind of look up and check in on what you've been working on. So maybe just to kick things off, can you introduce yourself and tell us about HYROX?
Yeah, Christian Toetzke. I'm the founder, CEO of HYROX. HYROX is, we call it the sport of fitness racing. We created a competition format that is unique and the same everywhere in the world. It's a measurable, it's a timed event for everybody. So it's the first mass participation fitness event, I think, that was ever existing. And I think we will talk about the definition of mass participation. But that means that everyone can finish it, whether it's because it's about time. It's not about very complex movements. It's very hard. It's a challenge for everyone, but it depends on how much time you need to finish it, and that's the point here. Like a marathon running. So sometimes we say it's a marathon of fitness. So some people run it in 2 hours, and many people run it in 6 hours. Same thing. They do the same event, and that's what we transformed into fitness, into a new event format. And that's basically the basic idea of HYROX.
Yeah, and we'll get into all that. One thing I did want to touch on too is that you've been in the game for a while when it comes to these mass participation events, many different kind of sports at this point, many different years and companies. Maybe for someone who's not familiar, can you just talk about how you kind of came to that and maybe how that experience has informed what you did here from the kind of the fitness approach, as opposed to, like you mentioned, from marathon to cycling to multi-sport events, like all these things exist, right? But now I think taking that approach and applying it to fitness is super compelling.
Yes, as you said, I'm in the business for a long time, probably too long. It says something about my age. So I started 1995 as a very young kid, actually just graduated from university. And I created a new concept, which was at that time a cycling event, which I called Marathon on Wheels. So basically we did something up on bikes, like this, on the success of city marathons of running. So I did a lot of that. Then I got into marathon events, into triathlon events, and developed that over a longer time, sold that company, joined a large corporation, was the CEO, the global CEO for all kind of events, from tennis tournaments, like golf tournaments, and still mass participation, endurance events. So I learned a lot. We started companies and events everywhere in the world. So you start to understand how similar and different the markets are from, let's say, from the United States of America to China. And everything in between is similar and sometimes different. So very interesting times. All of that experience in the end led to the product HYROX. There's a reason why I had the idea to create this, and I think this is part of this podcast today to talk about it.
Yeah, and just getting to that point, when I guess, what year initially did you come up with the idea? When did you hold the first event? And then you talk about coming up with this idea. It's interesting to think about at different times, the kind of running boom and people getting into marathon, of course, triathlon. And a lot of people, when they think of triathlon, they think of Ironman. So like certainly that kind of participation at different points in time being more popular, more or less popular. as sports go now, like gravel racing and the kind of cyclocross and trail running, a lot of things have caught on. But now with this, like the functional fitness movement, right? And this idea of fitness competitions, I'm sure played into your idea and then getting it launched. So when did that start, and what was that kind of aha moment or idea?
The whole idea started in 2016, roughly around that time. The idea is based on two angles. So one is, as I explained, I was involved in marathon running, in cycling, and triathlon. So, and when I do something, I always try it by myself. So I start to train for it, and I participate in the events. So marathon running, I love marathon, but I love the events. I did the New York City Marathon a couple of times. I hated the training, I have to say, because it was always the same movement. I got problems with my ankles. I'm too heavy for 30-kilometer plus runnings, like 2 times a week. I got pretty bored about, I have to run again 30 kilometers, 2.5 hours. And you don't train your upper body. It's a very, very singular movement, right? So I started cycling, the same singular, every day the same movement, a bit more exciting, more healthy, less problems with my ankles. The problem is you have to invest even more time because you have to do 5-6 hour rides to be reasonably good. And I always was kind of competitive. So I said, young kids, family, 6-hour rides. And you have to take your bike when you go to an event, you have to get it on the plane, it gets expensive. I started triathlon. I thought, this is amazing. It's more variety, more different things, swimming, cycling, running. Loved it. But I realized the most complex and most complicated sport to do. I mean, the training is complicated. You have to organize everything from the pool to the bike to the run. Very expensive and even more complicated when you travel to events. That was one reason that I said, okay, I want to create an event everyone can do that is easy as running. You just need a pair of running shoes, basically, where you don't need to train 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Very easy to consume. You can do it. 60 minutes is enough, and it has much more complexity and variety for your training. You train every part of your body. You look good at the beach if you do it. And of course, I always was in the gym. I have a little athletic background, so I was always working out in the gym. And that was the other angle that I said, okay, this is amazing. You have all these millions of people training every day. And the only reason is, bottom line, for most of the people, they burn calories and aesthetics, but that gets kind of boring after a while. So I always needed this extra motivation that I am preparing myself for an event, that it doesn't matter how good you are. I'm far away from being a pro or professional athlete. That stunned me. And especially when you look at the millions and millions, 190 million people I remember in the gym, and there are no competitions. You do this every day, 5 days a week, and you never have the chance to show what you have achieved, that you got better. This is a gap we have to fill. So 2 things: create a very exciting event, which is where you don't have to invest multi-hours every day. It's a very healthy way of training because you don't do one movement every day. So you train your whole body, and you have amazing events you can go to. And you do this for the fitness community. And that was the starting point. I think there must be a solution to create this. We locked ourselves away and then for a long time and started to develop this, which is quite complex actually, because if you're not just running, you want to have a complex fitness event, and at the same time, it should be possible for thousands of people to do that at the same day. That was quite a complex exercise, but I think we found a good solution.
Yeah, hearing you talk about it, it's to a certain extent, I kind of went through that own experience of different from sports. So I played American football in high school and college, and then I was kind of too big, and I was like, I should probably get into better shape, because at that point, you're just lifting as much weight as you can and, competing in sports, and then got into endurance events. So started doing marathon, ultra marathon, triathlon, longer distances, but I was constantly getting injured. And so, and to your point, it's very expensive. from the equipment and the entry fees, let alone the travel. At that point in time, actually opened a gym. So was a trainer and group fitness instructor. And then we eventually got into CrossFit gyms, multiple gyms. And even at that point, we were constantly coming up with ways to create events for the members, right? Because they do come in and they do work out and they're just like, hey, we do the same stuff all the time. Yes, we feel better, but it'd be great if we had a competition or if we could go head to head with another gym. So you do that. And ultimately what you were doing was being a feeder system for other events, right? So they're coming to the gym to do a marathon. They're coming to the gym to do a Spartan race or what have you. So this idea now of, hey, how do we bring this and kind of almost self-contained, right? That people are participating. It's something that they can then engage in and they have a reason to train. They have something to compete for or try or push themselves. So in terms of what those events look like, you mentioned it's timed. So for someone who's not familiar, what all is entailed? What could they expect in signing up for an event?
Yeah, so HYROX we call it a hybrid event, which is a little reason for the name, which is a combination of running and functional fitness workouts. Everything is based on natural movements. That's very important to realize because natural movements mean you might have never pushed a sled in your life, but you naturally can do that. So you will not fail because you can't do the complex movement. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's actually super complex. And it's very funny because, of course, there is CrossFit, as we all know. And CrossFit is a great product. I love it. But I think it's a very, very extreme version of fitness, which is not, it doesn't apply to most of the people. I also tried CrossFit, of course. It got serious problems very quickly. I mean, I started with 45, probably not the best age to start CrossFit. But I have an athletic background and I've realized in my age, I don't need to lift maximum weights anymore. Nothing really to win other than injuries. So HYROX is based on these natural movements. So what you do when you go to the event, you run 1 kilometer and then you do 1,000-meter ski erg. You run another kilometer around the workout zones. Then you do sled push, 50-meter sled push, a traditional sled. You run another kilometer, you do a 50-meter sled pull. You run another kilometer, you do 80-meter burpee broad jumps. Sounds easy, it's brutal.
Yeah.
You run another kilometer, you do 1,000 meter of rowing on the row erg. You run another kilometer, you do 200-meter farmer's carry with different weights depending on your gender. You run another kilometer, you do 100-meter sandbag lunges, also different weights. And then you only have to run another kilometer, and then you do 100 wall balls to finish everything off. So in the end, you have completed 8 kilometers of running and 8 workouts, which in average takes you 1 hour, 40 minutes. So it's nothing you do every Saturday. It's a real test. It's painful, but you can do it. Everyone is able to finish it because we have no time caps. So we have world records, which is 54 minutes and 9 seconds. And we have also the world record of the slowest time, which is 3 hours and 45 minutes. So somewhere in between, you probably find your way to do it and to finish it. And of course, some people are scared and think, oh, I'm 100% not able to do it. And I say, no, you are. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Of course, the better you prepare yourself, the quicker you can do it. But that's the beauty of it. It's a standardized event. It's everywhere in the world exactly the same, like marathon running. You know exactly what you have to do. It's quite a complex thing. How do you train for that to be in better shape? How do you improve your time? And that's a great thing. You can compare your times wherever you do an event and also over years. You can see how you got better. You can see how you maintain your time. And it's just a great motivation. And of course, you do it with thousands of other people and you meet them again. And it's creating a community, et cetera, et cetera. So everything that makes sports so exciting.
Hey, everyone. We'll get you back to the show in just a second. But first, I wanted to tell you about our exclusive PR partner, Jack Taylor. Honestly, this one's a no-brainer. We've known the Jack Taylor team for years. They work with some of the most innovative health and wellness companies. We're talking Whoop, Athletic Greens, HYROX, and many more. Jack Taylor has an extensive industry network, knows how to work with high growth companies and really invests in building long-term relationships. I know this firsthand because they're Fit Insider's PR agency, so I can confidently recommend them, and I do all the time. From startups to more established brands, they go beyond pushing product to help companies truly thrive. If you want to learn more, head to jacktaylorpr.com and tell them Fit Insider sent you. Now, back to the show. There's a lot that goes into that, and a lot to like for somebody, again, who spent my career in fitness. Even thinking about when you do other modalities, not only do you have plateaus and you get disinterested and why are you sticking to it, but you at times develop poor habits where overuse you are, even if you're just going to the gym and training, if you're not competing in a bodybuilding show or a strongman competition, where else are you getting that kind of competitive outlet or community? And even sometimes if you go to a boutique fitness studio, yes, you may know the people, and yes, there's a certain community that goes to that. But to your point, it's like a lot of times you don't know how you're improving over time. You don't know where you need to get better. You're not maybe learning a new skill if you're used to going to that one place and doing a similar workout. So there's that element of challenging yourself and evolving. From the CrossFit perspective, it's certainly true, right? That if there was a criticism that people typically have, it's you're getting injured. There's an injury risk to doing snatches, no matter how good you get at them, or any overhead presses and things like that. And especially some of the more complicated gymnastics movements. There's a lot to like about that programming, and that you're learning new things, functionality, complex movements, striving to improve. But at a certain point, it does become like, why do I need to put this much weight over my head? Or why do I need to back squat X hundreds of pounds in order to participate in some of these other events? How much of a consideration was that accessibility or injury risk, some of these other things that kind of stand out going into it when you were formulating, hey, we need to make sure that everybody, anybody, anywhere could do this, and it would be just a matter of time?
No, that was 100% a massive part of the development. Again, CrossFit is an amazing product, great success story, and it will always exist. That's not the point here. If you look at the market, it's very simple. There are maybe 4 million active CrossFit people, but there are 200 million that are in the gym. So there are 196 million people that are not doing this. So what do they do? And regardless of the fact that even in the CrossFit box, 90% of the people never go to any of the real events, because the concept is to find the most fit people that are the only people that can really do that. That's a fully different approach. Also, that you don't know what you have to do, what the workout is, what you have to face.
True.
It's an exciting concept, but that's the opposite of what mass participation is. Mass participation is that you know exactly what you have to do. So I'm not scared. I know what I have to put in, what kind of training I have to put in to probably be able to do it and to finish it. And it's only in fitness that people, in the beginning, everyone is approaching me, this is boring. You have to change the workouts every time. I said, it's interesting. The most popular sports in the world haven't changed anything over 200 years. Like marathon running, no one is changing the distance of marathon running. Let's say, take the most simple event in the world, 100-meter running. I think is one of the most exciting disciplines. And sports scientists are spending hundreds of years to figure out how can someone run 9.52 seconds. Yeah. But it's very simple, right? It's just 100-meter straight running. You think it's super simple, and it's actually super complex. How do you train someone to be that fast? HYROX is a million times more complex than 100-meter running. It's definitely a science, and we see that there's a growing community, and the sport is organically developing out of the core idea. How do I master this event to do it in 54 minutes and 9 seconds, which is absolutely outstandingly amazing by Hunter McIntyre, our current world record holder, or Michaela Norman for women in 1 hour and 45 seconds. So now the next thing is, can someone do this sub 50 minutes? Can women do it sub 1 hour? And they will, 100% sure. But it's exciting. It has the same complexity like CrossFit, It's just a different approach to a training. At the same time, it keeps it very accessible for everyone because, I can push a sled, I can do this, I can do that. So now the question is just, how do I get all of this together in one event and in one competition, which is where the business is. Look, we say we are creating athletes. So I say people are a gym member and you go to your gym 3, 4, 5 times a week. And the moment you sign up for HYROX, you start to think like an athlete. That's where the business is. Because suddenly, before that, it doesn't matter what your shoe is or what you wear or what you drink or what your nutrition is. Not really, right? It's just about losing weight. Suddenly you do this, you care about what should I train actually? Should I do 3 times a week exactly the same? So periodization, programming suddenly becomes a thing, right? What's the best shoe to wear in a HYROX event? Do I need gloves or whatever? Like what kind of nutrition I should drink during these 1 hour and 40 minutes workout? And in the gym, of course, do I need personal coaching classes? Do I need an 8-week program that my gym is offering me? So that's suddenly where a business starts and develops. And I've seen this in running, I've seen this in cycling, and I've seen this in triathlon. Everyone thinks cycling was a mass participation sport. It wasn't at all. In the early 90s, there was mass participation events weren't existing. It was a pure professional sport. We had a couple hundred people doing it. And people were riding the bikes to the bakery to buy whatever, to buy groceries. And now you see every day, you see thousands of people going off in pelotons and riding on Sundays on €8,000 or US dollar carbon bikes. It's a massive industry that developed on the back of these kind of mass participation events. And I think we will see the same. And I mean, CrossFit did the same for the CrossFit community. Look at the business that CrossFit created, from sportswear, from shoes, from training programs, from whatever, right? It's a massive industry around CrossFit that was developing. I think we will create the same as HYROX now. It's a different aspect for the fitness industry. And if fitness operators are smart enough, they realize that and they see the potential and they jump on this train. And it's not always necessary that they need a relationship to us or whatever. There's a lot of angles to participate from that trend. And I'm 100% believing, I think it's the purpose of your podcast, right? That we will see a fundamental change in the way how some percentage of the gym goers will consume fitness. Because suddenly there's something else. And I think it will attract a lot of people. And gyms will start to rethink the way how they operate their locations and how they offer their classes and their programming. And then we all be even more happy because I hope everyone will make a better business and more people will live a healthy lifestyle, which is another idea of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot in there from thinking about the various business opportunities that stem from this, right? You go into it saying there's this mass participation event. It's centered around functional fitness. So obviously people are paying to enter and participate in the event. And as we've seen with other industries that have sprung up around running, cycling, triathlon, you name it, you have from equipment to nutrition to coaching to certifications to affiliates, all these things that then stem from that, some of which are created and run directly through you, the organizer, and some of which, I'm sure there are probably already plenty of people who are trainers who are coaching, developing programs, talking about nutrition and building that for people that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the business of HYROX. In terms of
indirect, for sure, because we gave them the idea to say to their customers, you should do this event and I can prepare you for that, which is great. It's amazing that they pick up this opportunity and they're creating this kind of business. And we see this popping up everywhere.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
In terms of how you're thinking about your business and then what aspects of that, where does that turn into a business or revenue stream? Where does that turn into something that we want to play a larger role in? So I know the relationships and affiliates with gyms. So just in terms now, what are the kind of revenue streams as you've established them, and then where do you think that goes?
Yeah, we have two major parts of the business. The number one, the core business is still the event business. So we are growing fast and we have a very ambitious plan. We are in 10 markets right now, 10 countries in the world. We are adding another roughly 10 to 12 in 2023. I think we will talk about it, but we are launching Australia and Asia for the first time. So there's a large focus on the whole Asian APAC market. In the next 3 to 4 years, we want to have roughly around 200 events in every relevant market in the world, in major cities. I haven't explained this. So far, we are mostly almost 99.9% an indoor event.
Yeah.
We go into large convention centers and turn them into amazing arenas. Like it looks like Olympic Games. So you feel like a superstar when you go there with thousands of other people and thousands of spectators. It's massive. It's really, really huge. I mean, the floor we have is like 3 to sometimes 4 football pitches.
Wow.
Big.
Yeah.
That's why we can't go to a normal stadium or something. It's simply too small. So it's exciting if you go there. We turn these facilities into sport facilities. Though we had one event at Miami Beach, South Beach 2 weeks ago, which was the first time a very exciting, crazy thing, where the city actually put up a 10,000 square meter, just over 100,000 square foot tent.
Wow.
On the beach in South Beach. And we had hard flooring where we had all our workouts, and you had to run around the tent on the sand. That was brutal, of course, super hard, harder running, but a very exciting event. So we play with that now. But however, that's the concept. And we are in every exciting city in Europe and in the US. And we are adding amazing cities in Asia. And then we want to be in every relevant, bigger metropolitan area of the world. That's one part of the business. And it's growing, and we're having events now in the UK. So the next London event will have 8,000 participants in London Olympia over 2 days, which I think it's probably by far the biggest fitness event ever. Gym fitness. I think in the UK, the events are growing now to 10, 11,000 people doing it over 2 days.
It's huge.
So it's big. It's really massive. It's already like, yes, it's the size of, it's already like overtaking triathlon events. I don't know if there are any triathlon events that big. So we are somewhere between cycling, a little bit behind cycling and running, which is amazing. Of course, it's a massive community, right? So that's one part of the business. The other part is that what we see is that the HYROX is not in the end just an event brand. It becomes a holistic fitness brand. It's a different way of understanding fitness. We call it fitness racing. It's a new form. It's a new sport of fitness racing. It's a different approach to create a competition format with a movement or with what people do in the gym. Same narrative somehow like CrossFit started.
Right.
Just different kind of movements, more accessible, more inclusive, and more running. Much more running than in CrossFit, which, however, most of the people run in the gym, right? And they are on the treadmill, and then they do functional fitness movement. So that's our narrative. So what we see is that there's a fast growing community that wants to train like this. They want group class training that is preparing them in the group for the events. Like what also was the interesting and attractive part and success model of CrossFit, because suddenly you did something together, always with a group of people that had the same goal, the same purpose. Though the business model, I think it's easier with HYROX because you can do it with much bigger groups than group class training and CrossFit. So we are working on solutions, how you can do this with 30, 35, 36 people in a very small, like maybe 150, 200 square meter area. So you don't need a massive space to do that with the right setup. So we see a growing demand for these kind of solutions. So we are developing workouts, which we then offer to everyone in the world, every gym that's out there. Pick it up. Let us do the work. every day to figure out the formula how to do that. And then you as a gym, you pick it up and you implement this into your gym. Most of the gyms don't need to invest money because they have all the equipment. They just
Right.
have to put it in a different order, smarter way. Like organize your gym in a smarter way. Everyone can offer complex group class fitness training that has a lot of variety, that has a competition angle, and we also building it up in the moment that it's following a periodization, it's following a programming. So I tried every gym in the world.
Yeah.
Of course, individual gyms, membership gyms, you go in, you do your own stuff, so you find stuff in the internet. What can I train today? That offers you a lot. Almost every group class training I did, some are exciting, some are less exciting, but usually every group class training, you do it almost every day the same. It's the same intensity, it's the same order of workouts, and the variety is so la, right? So sometimes only running and a little bit of body workout. Sometimes there's a little bit of rowing inside. Sometimes you hit a boxing, a heavy back, and then you do a body work. It's always the same. It's always the same intensity.
Yeah.
And not a single professional athlete in the world trains like that. No one is doing every day 10,000 meter running full, like all in. Doesn't make sense, right? So we wanted to change that also a little bit, that people, again, think more like athletes. So, okay, what do I do in 8 weeks to be ready for HYROX? So, of course, you do more aerobic training in the beginning, and then you increase the intensity. So we want to put all of that into this offering. And I think the interesting part is we are very open. Everyone can join in. You don't need to open a HYROX gym to do that. It's the other way around. Every existing gym in the world can join in and can take what we propose, suggested as training, a group class training. Of course, they can add their own elements. We want to help them how to do that, because I believe it's quite complex and it takes a lot of resources and money and time to develop that, which of course I understand. Individual gyms don't have the resources and the time to spend that much thinking about what is the best product here. So I think it makes sense that someone is offering this to all the gyms that are out there. That's the other now major part of what we do every day. And we already have 1,000 gyms that are joining our program, but I think there's a big market out there, which is probably, 20, 30, 40 times bigger, that would love to. In the moment they see that and they understand. And I think the unmatched opportunity here is, it's not only the training and the narrative of the training. In the end, in every city where all these gyms are, we are hosting an event. So everyone has a real purpose to train, to go to the gym now, because the next HYROX event is coming for sure. So, that combination is a little what we think will create our business model in the next 4 years.
Yeah, and if you already have 1,000 gyms doing it, that certainly shows the kind of growing interest there. In that case, when those gyms are doing it, they're gaining access to the programming, they're gaining access to the name, marketing. What are they getting in that package? And it's with them, that affiliation and licensing that comes with the kind of HYROX package.
Yeah, I have to say, so far our offering was very thin. It was not what I want to offer to gyms, because we gave them the name, we explained them how to create group class training, but we were not giving them the final solution, so that you don't have to use the tools and then you have to build your own workout. So we're working on a centralized app only for gym owners and coaches, where if you are an affiliated gym, you get access to this app, and then you have two parts. One is an educational part where we explain you in videos best case examples of how gyms have used HYROX to win or retain members and make a better business. And we have great examples. And like always in the world, there are amazing examples and some bad examples. So
right.
It depends on how you pick it up, right? How you implement this in your gym. So we explain this. This is one part of the app, and we hope we're working on it should be as really, really easy to understand and simple. And there's a download section of all the assets, social media posts, marketing posts, emails you can send to your members to explain them why you are offering this now. The other part will be a large archive kind of thing where you have a filter system. So you say, I'm in week 8 before the next event. And I don't have, let's say, sleds, just as an example. So you put these kind of parameters into the filter, and then it will show you the 20 workouts that make most sense in week 8. And this is strength-based, cardio-based, more running, less running, a bit more strength, very, very different. And you choose which you think is the best workout for your members. And that goes on. So the idea is that this is an archive of hundreds of workouts, and we will constantly improve the archive and will develop new workouts. And they are all 60 minutes long with a warm-up part and a real main workout part and cool down. And they should make a lot of sense from an athletic background as well. It's not just burning calories. We want to make you ready. Every member out there, we want to make you ready for the competition. We're working on this, which will be a massive upgrade to what we currently do. And I think this will be ready by late summer. So this is a timeline in the moment. However, join the program already, so you're not missing out. And I really believe that this offer will be almost like as good and as innovative as the event idea of HYROX. Because like I said, I looked at everything in fitness, and it's interesting. Everyone, I think in the current fitness industry, everyone thinks in the same direction. So one is I'm looking at the success of F45. I look at the success of Orange Theory Fitness. How can I open the same thing, but I change the rower with a ski erg or something? What's the new idea here, right? And you add some gadgets like heart rate monitors or little pieces here and there. It's not bad, don't take me wrong, but everyone is creating a massive competition. Everyone is offering, and it's like trendy, right? Okay, rumble boxing is cool for a while, and then they move on to, to F45, etc. And then it's all digital. Everyone is like, everything has to be digital. Everyone thinks the future is the app, or I think it was one of your questions, connected machines. It's not wrong. It's great what you can do. What I think is everyone is missing, the technology itself is not the game changer here, in my point of view. What everyone is missing, in my point of view, it's very simple purpose why I do that, other than burning calories. And we think we do something which is super old school. I mean, creating an event is not digital. When you look at it on the first sight, it looks super old school. Okay, they are creating an event. I think it's probably the most exciting innovation in the past 5 years in the fitness industry, as I explained in the first 20 minutes, because we are offering a solution and a new motivation for people to do fitness that wasn't existing, which is opening doors for a lot of businesses out there. So suddenly technology is not just there to say, I'm measuring your heart rate to tell you have been 40% in the orange zone to burn more calories. You use heart rate for programming, because today you should not go over 60% because it's like aerobic training, right? And then next week you should train with 80% of your heart rate. I think that's super exciting. It gives everything a different meaning. Why are you doing this? I'm 100% convinced that a lot of people will tune in here and will change their way of how they train in a gym. We just want to give the platform. We want to offer the solution. We are embracing everyone with open arms to join in. That's the whole idea here. And it's fine that there will other brands or other people will develop like other kind of competitions, for sure. But I think the standard we are setting here and the head start we are having, the quality of the events is so far ahead. I mean, there's nothing else really existing in the moment. It's so far ahead of that. I said, it's fine. We want to be marathon. Like, we want to be the marathon of fitness. There might be 10K runs and 5K runs and half marathons and ultra marathons, all great. I mean, the biggest running events in the world are still the city marathons, right? It's like everyone knows the New York City Marathon. I don't know if that many people know that the New York City half marathon. It's just because, I don't know why it's weird, but it's because it's half or whatever. The big event is the marathon. So we are very happy with that positioning. And if we are kicking something off here that is creating a massive ecosystem around that, that's also super fine. We're happy with what we are doing.
I think that's the thing that's going to be interesting to see how it evolves is there was the CrossFit Games, and I think it still is. I mean, and in some ways it's, you mentioned this earlier, crowning the fittest on earth. And if you watch that, it's really not attainable, right, for the majority of people. And that goes into how you're thinking about programming. But when you start to shift the motivation, the outcome, the incentive people have to do this, which I think is a lot of what you're talking about. What's the why behind somebody's going to get up and go to the gym or engage in one of these events, from the social experience to pushing themselves to feeling like an athlete, which I think appeals to a lot of people. And that's why they seek out, some of those boutique classes or boxing, or especially like, sports-based workouts in the first place, because you're already kind of starting to see it happen. Like the number of functional fitness events or fitness races or, spin on what you all are already doing. You said, you want to be marathon and there's going to be others. Do you feel the need to say, we're going to have a shorter form event, a longer form event, one for these types of folks, one for other types of folks? Or do you kind of think the roadmap is, hey, let's build this kind of standardized event that we already have, build the kind of gym affiliate business that comes off that? There's certainly plenty of other, from the coaching certifications to equipment licensing partners to a digital people, a consumer facing app. Like, I'm sure all these things that you guys have looked at and thought about what that looks like, you kind of not concerning yourself with that, not focused on that, or just like, hey, let's build the best thing in terms of what our vision is, get as many people as we can to build it. And if we inspire this broader fitness racing, functional fitness category, like, great, we're happy to do it.
Yeah. So we will never change our format. We will never make a half HYROX. I'm not a believer in that. I'm humbled enough that our goal is not to own the whole market. It will never happen. I learned one lesson in my life, that be focused, do what you can do best, where you really deliver an amazing product. And that's fine. The market is big enough. We don't need to cover everything. We don't need to do the strength version of it or a shorter version. What we do is we offer, as you know, we offer doubles. You can do it with a friend. So it's an easier entrance. We offer relays, where you do everything with 3 other friends, or a group of 4 people. Everyone can do that. But they all do the full HYROX event. So they all do the marathon. It's a standard. It's a gold standard. We are already producing next year 65 events in the world. We want to do 200 events. That's massive. I don't need to be the company that is organizing 2,000 events. I think it's losing quality. It's losing focus. It becomes too general. There will be 2,000 events in the world, for sure. And that's fine. This helps the whole business, because more people look at the journey for people. They do shorter stuff. They do their first kind of competition. And what we want is, at some point in your life, everyone wants to do a HYROX event. That's fine. We are really focused on this. Of course, like I said, we want to be a good partner to thousands of gyms, and the other aspects of the community too. I mean, you see here, we have great merchandise, and we have great sportswear with HYROX on it, and people should hopefully buy and wear. And we will offer equipment, sometimes our own, sometimes with good partners. We will do the same with nutrition, and we will do the same in the digital area. No, for sure. These are the other second tier parts of the business. The number one part for us is the event business and the gym affiliation business. The other stuff is helping the community and the gyms and everyone who loves HYROX to have fun with HYROX every day. And we offer you solutions to do that. And that's the second part of the business. And we are already doing it. And that we will shift some focus to this once the main part is somehow done, or we are happy with what we are delivering. So I think, however, look, CrossFit, you said this, CrossFit is so far, in my point of view, the most successful fitness brand. There's nothing close. It's truly global. I think they had 15,000 affiliated gyms in the peak time. The CrossFit Games are amazing. 4 million people doing it. There's no other gym chain or app or whoever that has similar numbers, especially not everywhere in the world, as a true global movement. And because they deliver the why, you said this, right? People do it because suddenly there was a why. I want to snatch whatever. Yeah, I want to snatch 100 kilogram. Different whys, and this will go on. But we just believe we give another why, which is more accessible than CrossFit to other people that, for whatever reason, think CrossFit is not my thing. But I love fitness. I want to do something different, and so we are offering this other why to maybe to another 4 million or maybe 10 million people or 15 million people, because it's a bit more accessible. That's what we want to do. And we are very, very comfortable with that position. Yeah, hopefully, let's see. Well, let's see how far we can go. Maybe it's 10 million. I don't know. And then you will see me here sitting as the most happiest person in the world. I'm already stunned with the success of what we see, which was a dream that is now becoming a reality. Is amazing to see.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. And anything, much like you in some ways, I've spent my entire career just thinking about how do we get more people to live a happier, healthier lifestyle, and how do we create things or support things or invest in things, and this platform to put people on who are doing those things to encourage it further. So yeah, I think it's a super exciting time, and we'll certainly be following along as it continues to evolve, and have to check back in with you as you do that. We'll actually get you out of here on this. We talked about a ton today in terms of how you think about growing the business, what the opportunities are, all the various things you're working on, already launching and expanding. Is there anything we should look out for in the near term that you're excited about? Anything that's top of mind? And yeah, we're happy to keep tabs on and follow along as you continue to go forward.
Yeah, there's one exciting news. I talked about gym and all the gym chains and products and different kind of gyms that are out there, and we are announcing, I think when this podcast is released, we are announcing a kind of a global partnership with BFT, Body Fit Training, which is very successful in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if you have heard about it.
Yes.
And why do I like it? Because I think that is, in the moment, the only gym boutique franchise fitness studio that is providing almost perfect HYROX training. So which, if we design our solutions for the other gyms, it will be not very different to what BFT is doing, because they are the only gym where every training is different, where you have a massive variety of movements, of strength and cardio training. But, and this is the amazing part, they really care about programming. They do that already. The founders and owners, they have this athletic background, and they created this formula. And I was stunned that someone has the same thinking. What they were missing was a competition. So they said, right, holy shit, we do programming, but what's the end? What's the goal? Why are we doing programming? That's why they are so happy when we came around, and why we are launching now Australia and New Zealand. But they want to open locations now everywhere in the world. Right. They have a partnership, or I think Exponential invested into BFT and is rolling it out in the US. The BFT locations will also serve as HYROX training centers. But I don't think it's a competition to the existing gyms. It's a different kind of business model, right? It's as you say, it's only group class training. You basically pay per class. There's no open gym. It's not a membership gym. So it's a very different kind of a business model. And I think these two concepts go along very well. We see the market right now, right? You have these boutique gyms, and then you have the classical membership gyms. And many people probably have both. They have a membership in the classical gym, and they go from time to time, they go to these kind of gyms to do certain workouts. And I think that's great. You pick what you want, but that's an exciting partnership. And I'm always stunned that people still can create something that suddenly gets super crazy successful, at least in Australia and New Zealand. And you think the market is totally exaggerated. There's every kind of gym is already out there. And then you realize it's not, especially with regards to complex group class training. So these guys are doing an amazing job. And I think together we will hopefully also will be successful, and they will bring more people to HYROX events for sure.
Yeah, that's a huge partnership. Congrats. It'll be exciting to see. They're expanding. You all are expanding. Seems like great kind of synergy there and feeding off one another, which is always nice. What you want when you get a partnership like that. Yeah. And wrapping up, we'll have everything kind of linked in the show notes here for people to check out. But best way to kind of learn more, check out the events, is just hyrox.com. Where would you point people to learn more?
Yeah, go to hyrox.com is the best, perfect starting point. And then just go on Instagram, all the different HYROX accounts, every country, they have one. You find it easily, just type in HYROX. But the website is the best starting point to learn where we're having events and how to learn more about HYROX. So it's simply hyrox.com.
Yeah, well, we hope everybody checks that out. Christian, thanks for making time today. It was great chatting.
Very cool. Thank you for having me on your podcast here. And I hope I see you at the start line. And
yeah, let's go. I got to get out there.
One of the events coming up.
One more thing before you head out. Help us spread the word. Take a minute to rate and review the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or share this episode with a friend. And if you like conversations like this, you'll love the Fit Insider newsletter. We send it every Tuesday. The link is in the description. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you back here next week.